Okay, welcome to ETN News. We're looking at the earthquakes, and we have a 2.6 up northwest of White Island, but all of these here are smaller quakes. That's the only 2.5 and greater we have is up north off the coast. Now on these earthquakes, Alaska, got quite a bit going on with the small activity. Looks like it's backing up. And we have 7 2.5s and greater. The biggest one is a 3.1, 12.4 miles deep, down here near the Gulf. And let's look over here, see what we got going on. Alright, Mount St. Helens, small activity on the Cascadia, 2.1, west-southwest of Ferndale, California, 11.1 miles deep. That one's a little bit smaller. Let's go on down through here, what we got going on in this spot, northwest of Lake Pillsbury, California. This is north of Cobb, California, where the geysers is located and the thermals going on, 2.4. And that one is a minus 0.5 miles deep, northwest of Lake Pillsbury. 2.2 on the Long Valley Caldera, minus 0.7 miles deep. Now notice what we got going on right here. This is the San Andreas fault line coming down through here. Let's click it on the faults. Okay, you can see over this way, the San Andreas. Zoom in a little bit. Got all this activity coming down through here, and right here is a bad area. West of Daly City, California, a 1.1. This is a bad spot right here. This is where we got a junction comes in off the fault line. Could be a very large quake there in the near future, because everything is ramping up. And this one is right in Salton Sea, west of Nyland, 1.2. And we got one a little bit bigger, 2.0, 2.3 miles deep. Let's go over here toward the east, see what we got going on. Oh, here's a small one, 1.4, north of Cane Beds, Arizona, 12.1 miles deep. That's rare, and it's not on the fault line either. It's off the fault line. Colorado, 2.7. El Morro, Colorado, northwest of there, 5.8 miles deep. And, I've had people comment, this isn't even in New Mexico. No, they always put south of White City, New Mexico. It's like they want to hide it down in here or something. Now, right here around this peak, Texas. Texas is where we get our earthquake activity. Every now and then we'll get one in New Mexico, but mostly Texas. This is where we're doing all the drilling. Oklahoma, one small one. And the new major seismic zone, showing more activity all the time, 2.0, 5.4 miles deep, and a 1.7, 5.1 miles deep. Now over this way, 1.5, west-southwest of Rosman, North Carolina. 4.3 miles deep, and South Carolina, 1.5. Coronica, northwest of Coronica, South Carolina, 0.0 miles deep. And a 1.3 northeast of Lebanon, New Jersey, 4.8 miles deep. It ain't too far from New York. I'm looking forward New York to get activity pretty soon. But we'll have to wait and see what goes on and watch the signs as we go. Now here's our activity in Canada. Well, what Canada is reporting around Alberta, reported shaking 54 minutes ago, the southern part, and 3.7 south-southwest of Port Hardy, British Columbia, off the coast, out in the ocean. That goes right in with the Juanda Fuca and the Cascadia subduction zone. Now 2.5 is in greater and 4.2 is in greater over here on this side. We have a lot of 2.5s over here that it doesn't show. I had a 5.3 around Papua New Guinea, 6.2 miles deep. And these here, see how deep they are. Down in this area is where we've been having all the deep quakes. 4.5, 250.4 miles deep. And a 4.6 south of Fiji Islands, 329.4 miles deep. This one here is 6.2 miles deep around the Kermadec Islands region, 5.0. Now this here, this one spot, this is where we've been getting the deepest quakes for a few months now. This area here around the Fiji area, region. There's something going on right here for them to be so deep. You know, when they're deep like that, they'll go through there and they'll show up right here, but they'll hit somewhere else, the larger quake, always larger activity, where it's, you know, detecting it so deep. But it would have to be, with it being that deep there all the time, would they have to be a weak spot that many miles down, around 200 and some miles down, a crack, or 329 miles down, a crack through there under the surface so far to where the earthquakes come through and are detected right off. Or we would see them that deep up through here. But you don't detect them that deep up through there or over here because there's something going on around 200 and, well, around 300 miles deep. It has to be. We got to look at stuff like that. Now let's go over here and check the tremor map out, see what we got going on the tremors. Now we got all this through here, hardly ever get tremors down in this area, hardly ever. And then we got, you know, this is around Tacoma, Seattle, Olympic National Forest. It's usually on the island. And we got this here. This is where the Mendocino Fault, well, no, the Mendocino Fault comes in down here. This is north of it. Okay, we usually got activity here through this area somewhere, but it's all in one spot. You know, it's not spreading out like it usually does. That's another sign of something changing. And this, in this area, energy 1.2, and then we got 1.0. I don't know how many they are exactly. Let me see here. That would just be too many to count. Okay, now in the last few hours, we haven't got any activity in these two areas, just up north, up next to Vancouver Island. Okay, we usually don't get activity down in here, not like that. You know, not with it so many in each area. Like I said, usually over on Vancouver Islands where we usually get the activity, the movement Tremors, and look how far that these are on land. These go in a straight line. Now the ring of fire is over here. Now when you got the ring of fire coming around, and then if you ever noticed, if you dig a ditch and water runs through it constantly, it gets wider and wider and wider and wider. Well, scientists don't hardly tell you that. But when this goes through here, the magma, hot molten rock, I mean, it's melting dirt and rock. And after 100 years, it will spread so far over and get bigger because it has to. It has to tunnel out. And then when it tunnels out and it takes all the dirt and rock and it tunnels out and then it goes on over to a area, just example, like Mount St. Helens, it comes through here and it's tunneled out bigger, and then it starts backing up and it can't push all that dirt and rock that it's got, down through the ring of fire. So it has to come out in a new area, new eruption, or a regular one that's always been there. Sometimes these here, like Mount St. Helens, if it got so thick, it would harden and cap itself off. Well, when it caps itself off, it could move over here. It could go all the way down to Mount Hood. It could come on down to the Three Sisters. It's got to go somewhere. But when it takes through there and it holes out a valley through there where it keeps running and running and gets wider and wider, it's got to back it up. It's got to come out somewhere. That's the reason we have eruptions and new land, and they wonder, well, where did the new land come from? There was no sinkholes in the ocean. There was no big drops. Where did it come from? It's because this ring of fire is wider. I'm talking about all the way over through here somewhere. Wider. It has to. It's common sense. People don't look at that way, but it is. It's common sense. I'll see you on the next update, though. And that'll be the fire map. And let's see what's going on with this new storm we got developing in the south. And check a couple other things out. All right, I'll see you next time. Everybody stay safe, and we'll be watching.